Hey guys, me again. So I'm back to talk about the question of what makes a fun PE class, and why is PE the most important subject. Alright, let's start with the fun PE class. If you had asked elementary school me, high school me, um, pre George Mason me, I would have said any game that I like, any game that I can play, especially the sports that I play outside of school. I like being competitive. I grew up, playing around boys. Really, any kind of activity where I could just unleash all my competitiveness. Um, Dance? No, absolutely not. Um, Gymnastics? Absolutely not. Anyway, some form of team sport, something where I'm just fiercely competing in. That's what I would have said years ago and before coming into the Fed program at Mason. Now I've kind of had time to alter thoughts a little bit, get exposure to um, other sports, even outside of Mason that I've been connected to with friends. Um, so I'd like to alter my version of a fun PE class and say something where I get to try something new, but I can be competitive. Something that I can improve in, that I can learn, that I can try. Um, Something that promotes fun and shows me a reason why I should make it part of my daily life. Um, anyway, so yeah, something new. Something I compete, something that will just still let me have my outlet to just compete and be aggressive. Not all activities in sports will do that, yes, yes. But if there's also an involvement competing against myself, then absolutely. Um, Things I wish were part of a PE program that I would love are things like kickboxing, scuba diving, mountain biking, things that almost have an aspect of danger to them, but also are very competitive against yourself. Um, anyway, so that is my newly updated version of what I think makes a fun PE class. And also a situation where the teacher's excited. Where the teacher, you can tell the teacher really likes what they're doing, where you can tell the teacher really believes in what they're saying. So all around, I think that's what makes an awesome PE class and a fun PE class. Um, Now, why is PE the best subject? Besides being biased and saying that, man, I get to wear sweatpants to work. My dress requires I wear t-shirts and sweatpants. Maybe not t-shirts all the time. Anyway, I get to wear comfy clothes at school. That's part of why teaching PE is the best. And I don't sit behind an office. I don't sit in an office behind a desk. Anyway, so it's funny. I had this conversation with my husband the other day about why PE could possibly be the most life-altering subject in school that you'll come across. Um, he kind of gave the reason of, well, whatever subject that leads to your career. So for him, it's computer science. Computer science was the most important subject to him because it led to what he does now, which is, bringing home the money. Um, anyway, so that's what he had said. So it's something that impacts your career, impacts where you live, impacts how you interact with people. My argument, again, trying not to come from a biased perspective here, when talking to him, my argument was PE affects your actual life and living, like your actual physical, alive or dead living. So if someone grows up not knowing that fitness is important, that nutrition is important, their lifespan is probably cut short, and your career won't matter if your life is cut short. So the things that you learn in PE not only show you what's important, but also help you to expand your horizons on what other activities could be out there, and the importance of seeking out opportunities. So without all of that, without PE teachers really, at least good PE teachers, really showing us what's important in PE and what it is and the value of it, um, our lives will be cut short. It literally affects whether we're living or dead. Sounds a little dark and gloomy, but I just think that that's the most important thing it could affect. You won't have a career if you're not alive. If you don't focus on nutrition, if you don't focus on being fit, your body's gonna fall apart. So anyway, that was my argument as to why I think PE is the best subject. At least in the terms of when I was speaking to my husband about this in our conversation the other day. Another reason I think it's really important, and the best subject out there, or the best class and most needed class out there, is because of the different domains of learning. I'm not saying it just to, make my Mason professors happy, he. And, what are the 3 domains of learning? All important things. But there's not really another classroom or school setting that can help you learn in all 3 domains. Obviously psychomotor, obviously as part of PE. Cognitive, you see that in classroom. Rules, knowledge, things like that. You see that in PE. Sometimes I think in regular classrooms, cognitive can resemble memorization, whereas cognitive understanding in PE can be learning a process. Not saying you can't learn a process in classroom cognitive experiences. That's just one of my first thoughts about the advantage of going through the cognitive domain in PE. The affective domain, everyone with all their personalities are just out there. PE tends to be like a raw place where people just let go. Where students just kind of let go. They're stressed, they're excited, they're happy, they're sad. It just almost seems like they can just relax. And so you've got all sorts of stuff happening out there, and you see how kids interact. You see how kids behave towards themselves and others and the teacher. Sometimes you're not really able to see that as well in a classroom setting, because sometimes you're only so limited in how much you get to see kids work with each other in the classroom setting. Some teachers are able to do a good job of seeing how kids interact with each other, but PE seems to be one of the few places where you can actually assess that. When you're going through a history class, you're not saying, hey, I'm going to assess, your effective behaviors today. Your assessments are on knowledge of history and the things that you discuss and the content that's discussed. So I think PE is a very unique place to be able to assess and test the effective, and be able to emphasize to students why these behaviors are important. In the classroom, it's like, speak with inside voices. When you're in elementary school, sit down, respect others, don't interrupt others, don't yell at others. More so as class rules rather than understanding why they're important for everything else. So PE, by being able to assess the affective, you're able to show them why it's important. Not that it is important, but why it's important as well. Anyway, so there's my rant about what makes an awesome PE class, what makes a fun PE class, and then why I think PE is the best subject, and could be the most unique school subject out there. So thank you guys again.